Hey guys, welcome back today. So I wanted to go over Brent's truck a little bit here. We're going to be installing something new, something I haven't installed yet, at least of this product. Um, I have this very similar product on my Silver 95 truck. It was made by Diesel Site. It is a high capacity, high pressure oil reservoir spacer. So this spacer, which I have here, this one's from Riff-Raff. So we're going to go ahead and install this. And I'm going to show you what this purpose is. So you open the box up. I already have this unpackaged, but they give you a gasket. So this gasket would go between your timing cover and then your the bottom of your spacer here. Okay. So here's your spacer. So the spacer goes in between your reservoir and your timing cover. And then they also give you longer bolts to install, since you're obviously getting a little bit taller there. Okay. So what is the purpose of this spacer other than to add capacity? All right. So if you look, here's the top gasket. So the OBS trucks do not have this type of gasket. Their gasket is just your simple O-ring, or if it's older, it'd be RTV and an O-ring. So what is this? So this is the Super-Duty style. So I don't want to use 99 and up, but Super-Duty style with the screen. So this screen is there to filter your oil before it gets to the high pressure oil pump. So I had talked about these previously in a video. Your oil pan gets oil, picks it up, and will distribute it however it sees fit, because it's all by pressure, to either the high pressure oil reservoir or the oil cooler. The high pressure oil reservoir can get unfiltered oil directly from the pan. And if you have a fresh engine, if you've been having issues with contaminants in your injectors, or you've been having issues with dirt in your oil, this is your preventative maintenance for injectors. So you have a new motor put in, and as nobody ever gets engines cleaned anymore, it's, I swear, physically impossible. So what you do is you put this spacer, so we're going to use the Riff-Raff one here today for this, put that spacer in here. This will give you increased oil capacity, which is great for your high pressure oil reservoir, because if you're running larger injectors that require more oil, it will take longer to drain this down. But the real benefit is this filter screen, because this thing will catch just about anything that is in your oil. So if you have a fresh engine, you can get pieces of brass or bearing material or anything that wasn't cleaned out of the engine or the oil galleys, and it gets filtered up in, or pumped up into this reservoir. This will catch it before it hits your high pressure oil pump, which will make your high pressure oil pump and injectors last longer. I had the engine rebuilt in my 95, and whenever I did that, I put this screen with the Diesel Site adapter, and I had to end up changing the high pressure oil pump shortly thereafter because it was leaking out of the back of the pump. So just a fluke that it did that. So I had to pull the reservoir off, and I said, well, I'm going to look in this screen and see what's in here, because you have to replace this anyway if you take the cover off. And I found a bunch of brass, a bunch of little pieces of black specks, and a whole bunch of other crap inside this screen. Now, had I not had this screen, then that would have all went straight to my high pressure oil pump, straight to my injectors, which would have caused me more injector problems than I was already having. So this screen is technically a lifesaver, and I know that these adapters and spacers aren't cheap wherever you get them from. However, they are worth their weight in gold when it comes to preventative maintenance. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on showing you how to install this. But I want to show you one thing that really annoys me with the spacers that everybody makes. It's not just Riff-Raff, all these spacers that everybody makes. So let me show you what really gets on my nerves here with this, because this is designed for a Super Duty truck and not an OBS, even though they advertise it as OBS. All right, guys. So I wanted to give you a better picture of this screen here. So as you can see, that is a very fine mesh. So this will not fit on your OBS or non-factory equipped with this screen. Timing covers, high pressure oil reservoirs, just it will not. So you absolutely need a spacer to run that screen. So this is what really bothers me. Okay, so I have some of this pulled out of the way so you can see a little better. You have this bracket that's on the top of the high pressure oil reservoir, and at the time of this recording, there is no way to reinstall this bracket on top of the high pressure oil reservoir after you install the spacer. So, okay, no big deal, right? Because, you know, this is just for the engine cover, the beauty cover. Well, no, because your exhaust back pressure sensor is mounted to this bracket. So what do you do with this? On my other truck, I actually ended up taking this bracket, cutting it, and extending this down. Okay, so I've done that because you don't want to just let this flop around on that tube, because it's only a stainless tube and it runs all the way down. You can see it here and goes all the way down over to the manifold, which is right here. Okay, so this is just stainless tube. It's nothing structural about it. That tube is not mounted anywhere except for here and here. So this tube will just sit up here and rattle around and bounce around, and you could actually end up cracking the tube from stress, or you end up with a noise under here, or it rubs through and then you get an exhaust leak. And these tubes aren't fun to change because, you know, usually over time they rust to the manifold and you got to take this accessory bracket off and everything to get that changed. So they don't make a bracket extension, nothing for this. And that really drives me nuts. So as you can see, there's studs here to hold this bracket, nuts. Then there's 3 bolts in the front. And now this is not just a Riff-Raff issue. This is every single spacer, so I'm not calling Riff-Raff out on this. But these are just bolts. They are not studs. So when I originally did my truck, I had to buy threaded rod that is metric, and I made my own studs to mount this bracket back on. Now I've since changed my truck up to not need this bracket anymore. However, so if you don't want to weld a new bracket on here or do anything modification wise to this bracket, your only other option is to convert your system to the Super Duty style, which is either mounted on this here, or you get the driven diesel one that actually mounts, I think, to this bolt here and puts your exhaust back pressure sensor here. Well, the problem with that is your wires are up here. So now you have to cut these wires and extend them all the way down to here. So that is something that I really dislike about the spacers. But I'm willing to deal with the headache of that to get the extra protection of the screen. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get this taken off of here. I have to disconnect the exhaust back pressure sensor and then also take this bracket off, and then this cover will come right off. This engine is dry, so we should not be making a mess with this at all. Okay, so we're going to start with taking this back pressure sensor off of here. So this is a 1-inch socket. So back pressure sensor, this one looks kind of cruddy, so we might end up cleaning it out. Next, I'm going to take this wiring off of here just to get it out of our way. So that frees all of this up here. And these nuts are 13 millimeter. So one other thing, your wiring harness, as you can see, is held on there. So now this has nowhere to go. And then we're going to go ahead and take off the tube here, which is underneath, and it is a 5/8. So we're going to show you my gripe about this. So here's your bracket. That tube bolts to this, actually, whatever you want to call it. All right. And this is welded into this mount. So you need this piece of steel to make your back pressure tube work with your sensor. So like I said before, I've extended this and made it longer to where it can bolt back to the top of the reservoir, so you extend this out. So I'm going to have to talk to Brent and see what he wants to do about this, but we're going to go ahead and finish getting this reservoir off of here. Smaller ones are 10s. And the studs are 13. So on the back side here, which I forgot about, is your oil, I do believe, oil temperature. So we have the reservoir off of here, and I'm not sure who put this in here, but this should not be in here. And oh, we might have a problem. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you something here, and this is going to cause a big problem for us. So I don't know how well you can see this. You should be able to kind of see it. See that line in there? So let me see if I can get this to stay here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So this line right here, down in here, that is a broken timing cover. So you might be asking yourself, how do you get a broken timing cover? Well, when I pulled this cover off of here, the reservoir itself, this gasket with this screen was in there. This is a 96 truck. This should not be in there. This is the gasket that should be in there. F6TZ6619-AA. This is the 1996 part number. This is the 96 gasket. And if you reference my videos on serial numbers, the serial numbers are extremely important. Extremely important. Because that serial number tells you if you need this gasket or this gasket. Okay? Well, this is a 96 truck. I don't even have to look at the serial number. It's a 96. I know it's a 96. It takes this gasket. So when you install the screen, in this timing cover, you get that. So not only is it cracked here, so, oh, it's just a crack on the inside, right? No, it broke completely off. The only thing holding this whole little piece over here, this whole little piece, so is the top two pieces right here, right at the very top here. You can see where the crack stops. So this is an aluminum piece. This is an aluminum piece, okay? But this is much, much stronger than that ear. So when you put that gasket in there with the metal screen, okay? So it fits down in there like that, okay? Well, it does not sit all the way down, okay? And so when you put this in here, it doesn't sit right. It's not supposed to be in here. So what it does is it breaks your timing cover. I have seen guys talk about breaking timing covers by using the incorrect gasket. I've never actually seen it myself. Well, now I've actually seen it. So that's going to be an end to this video. We won't be installing the spacer today because I have to pull this engine out now. And turn it over, take the oil pan off, take all these accessories off, take the water pump off, take the oil pickup tube off, and then I can finally get to this timing cover to change it. So this is going to be a couple-day project. I may not video that one. We will see, because I need to get this out, repaired, and put back in here because I have a lot more projects that need to be done here. So the videoing process is time consuming. I try to do it for the viewers here so that they can learn some stuff like this, what not to do. So yeah, we're kind of stuck here for this one today. I'm going to start taking stuff apart, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.